You've been lied to about the moon your entire life, but not in the way you think. When you hear the dark side of the moon, you probably picture a frozen pitch-black wasteland, a side no sunlight ever touches, a place so mysterious that anything could be hiding there. Alien cities, secret bases, ancient structures. But here's the twist. The so-called dark side isn't actually dark. It gets just as much sunlight as the side we see from Earth. The only reason we call it dark is because, for almost all of human history, it was hidden from us. The moon is tidally locked to Earth. That means it rotates once on its axis in the exact same time it takes to orbit our planet. So the same face is always pointed at us, and the far side is always turned away, like someone standing in front of you with their back permanently to the wall. For thousands of years, we looked up at the moon and saw the same familiar pattern of light and dark patches, never knowing what was on the other side. It wasn't until 1959 that humanity finally got a glimpse. The Soviet spacecraft Luna 3 swung around the moon and snapped the first blurry photos of the far side. Imagine seeing those images for the first time. No big dark seas like the ones we see from Earth. No familiar shapes. Just a weird, battered landscape covered in craters, like a world that's been shot at for billions of years and never healed. That was the first real clue that the far side of the moon is not just hidden, it's different. Look at our side of the moon, and you see huge dark regions called Maria. Ancient lava plains where molten rock once flooded the surface and cooled into dark basalt. They're the shapes people have turned into the man in the moon, or rabbits, for centuries. But on the far side, those Maria are almost completely missing. Instead, it's dominated by bright, rugged highlands and craters on top of craters. So why does one side of the moon look like a scarred battlefield, while the other side looks like someone smeared dark ink across it? One idea is that the moon's crust isn't the same thickness all the way around. The far side's crust is thicker, like a shell with extra armor. When giant space rocks slammed into it, they couldn't punch all the way through to release the magma underneath, so you never got those giant lava seas that we see on the near side. On our side, the crust is thinner, so when big impacts happened, magma burst through, flooded the basins, and left behind those dark, smooth plains. But there's an even weirder possibility. Some scientists have suggested that very early in the moon's history, there might have been a second, smaller moon orbiting Earth. Over time, that mini-moon could have slowly collided and merged with the larger one, splattering extra material onto what became the far side. Almost like the moon literally wearing the remains of its sibling as armor. That would naturally leave one side thicker, rougher, and more mountainous than the other. We don't know for sure if that moon-on-moon collision really happened, but it shows you just how strange the story of the far side might be. Now, here's where it gets even better. We haven't just taken pictures of the far side. We've actually landed there. In 2019, China's Chang'e 4 mission did something no one had ever done before. It touched down inside a huge impact crater called the South Pole Aitken Basin on the far side of the moon, a place that had been completely unreachable before. To even talk to the lander, they had to park a relay satellite behind the moon so signals could bounce back to Earth. That's how hidden the far side is. You literally lose line of sight with our planet. Once Chang'e 4 was on the ground, it started sending back high-resolution images and data. What it found confirmed what the old photos hinted at. This place is brutal. The terrain is rough, the ground is uneven, and the area is littered with rocks and craters. But in that chaos, there were also clues about the moon's deep interior. rocks that might have been thrown up from beneath the crust when that gigantic basin was formed billions of years ago. Pieces of the moon's inner skeleton just lying on the surface. And then there's the ice. Around the moon's poles, especially in craters that never see sunlight, there are signs of water ice trapped in the shadows. On the far side, some of these permanently shadowed regions could be hiding deposits of frozen water that have sat there untouched for millions, maybe billions of years. For future astronauts, that's a game changer. Ice means water. Water means oxygen and fuel. And that means bases, habitats, and launch pads for missions deeper into the solar system. So, in a way, the dark side of the moon might be the key to going beyond the moon. But it's not just a physical place, it's also the quietest place we know. Our side of the moon is constantly bathed in radio noise from Earth. Wi-Fi, phones, satellites, radar, an invisible storm of electromagnetic chatter. The far side, though, is shielded by the bulk of the moon itself. If you put a radio telescope there and block out the sun's interference, you've basically got the quietest radio environment in the inner solar system. Why does that matter? Because there are signals from the early universe, faint radio whispers from just after the Big Bang that we simply can't hear from Earth. Our own planet is too loud. But on the far side of the moon, in that perfect silence, we could build observatories that listen directly to the universe's childhood. The dark side isn't just mysterious, it's potentially the ultimate cosmic listening station. Now let's talk about the part your brain really wants to know. Is there anything unnatural out there? For decades, conspiracy theories have filled the gap where evidence was missing. Stories about secret alien structures, hidden civilizations, and even human military bases on the far side have spread like wildfire. It makes sense psychologically. When a place is truly hidden, our minds rush to fill it with the wildest things we can imagine. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The more data we get, the more normal the far side looks. Craters, rocks, dust, radiation, no towering alien cities, no secret hangars, no cables, no lights, no neatly arranged geometric patterns, just raw, ancient geology. That doesn't mean it's boring. If anything, it's the opposite. Every crater, every rock, every strange difference between the near side and the far side is a clue to how our entire solar system formed and evolved. That battered landscape has been recording cosmic history for billions of years. Impacts, eruptions, bombardments. Like a diary the universe forgot to lock. And we've barely read the first few pages. We still don't fully understand why the far side's crust is so thick. We still don't know exactly how much water ice is waiting in those eternal shadows. We still haven't built the massive radio telescopes that could turn the far side into the greatest observatory ever created. For all our probes and pictures and missions, the dark side of the moon is still, in many ways, unexplored territory. So when you hear the phrase, dark side of the moon, remember this. It isn't dark because sunlight never touches it. It's dark because we're only just starting to shine our curiosity on it. Because for nearly all of human history, that half of our closest neighbor didn't exist in our mental map of the universe. It was just blank. Now, piece by piece, we're filling it in. With high-resolution maps, with landers and rovers, with visions of future bases tucked inside shadowed craters, and giant radio dishes listening to the first echoes of creation. Maybe the real mystery isn't what's hiding on the dark side of the moon. Maybe it's what happens to us once we finally step onto that hidden soil, look up, and see Earth hanging in the sky, knowing that for the first time, we're standing on the side of the moon that no human eyes had ever seen. Because in that moment, the dark side stops being dark. It just becomes the next place we decide to understand. This has been your host, Paradox Lab. If you enjoyed this journey, make sure to subscribe, drop a like, and let me know your thoughts in the comments.